Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to episode 75 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. Today I'm joined by Anthony Hoang, Chief Information Officer at Evereve, a women's apparel retailer that specializes in styling moms. We're going to be discussing how Evereve is integrating internet connectivity into its brick-and-mortar stores. Thanks for joining me, Anthony.
Great to be with you, Joe.
So let's, for our audience sake, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Evereve brand?
Evereve was founded 12 years ago here in Minneapolis by Meg and Mike Tamty. They had a vision for creating a new retail brand for our customer, the Evereve mom. And so they started with the first store here in Edina, Minnesota. And it clearly took. We just signed lease number 70. We're adding 12 more stores next year. We have a vibrant e-commerce channel. And earlier this year, what's really exciting is we took all of our styling prowess and 12 years of in-store relationships, and we've marshaled that into this new online subscription box experience as well. So the brand's, it's there because we have a mission to serve our customer, the Evereve mom.
So let's talk about that customer, the Evereve mom, as you refer to it. Is is there a certain sweet spot of age and that you look to, or and then do you facilitate and try to build long-term relationships with these mothers?
Yes, absolutely. We have these core missions that drive us as a company. If you look at the wall around the corner from me, we have our 7 core principles up there. You would find principles like moms have the power to change the world, be a force for good, find the gold in people. So at the core of who we are, again, stemming from the hearts of Meg and Mike Tamty, our founders, is this mission to serve moms. And so to do that, we definitely want to have strong relationships with them, authentic relationships with them. We want to track with them over time because we really feel like that's what gives us meaning and purpose as a brand. So if you were to visit any of our stores, you'd find amazing stylists, amazing store leaders who are there to create these authentic and hopefully life-giving connections with moms. And that's really what weaves us together as a community at Evereve.
So let's talk a little bit about those stores. You mentioned in the intro there about kind of bringing the internet and digital into the store environment. Evereve is using LTE, or long-term evolution, in its brick-and-mortar stores. Can you tell us a little bit about that process and program?
Absolutely. It's a program that we just introduced this past year. Evereve, again, has grown organically over the past 12 years. Each store was opened. The early stores were opened by Megan and Mike themselves. They've told me stories where they've filled up an SUV with product, mannequins, drive to the new city, stop at the local electronics store, buy what's ever on sale, meaning buy whatever wireless router modem was available, and then install that in the network closet. So when I joined Evereve a little over a year ago now, I looked at what we had installed across our 60 stores and found a very heterogeneous environment, one where there were all sorts of, I would say, consumer-grade modem and internet connectivity devices available, and it was frankly a little hard to manage. Some of these devices were hard to manage remotely. Some of them didn't provide the level of reliability I needed, and in addition, I was still working with local ISPs at each location and had to deal with internet outages. So as I looked at the situation, I saw the need for this LTE project where we partnered with Cradlepoint Technology and just re-platformed our network infrastructure across the board. What that allowed me to do is put together a real network strategy that would provide reliable internet, meaning, I'll just give you an example. If a store's internet went down today, I would get an alert right away, and that store's internet would turn over to LTE. meaning they would have a backup. This is not anything that's ever been available before. And I'd say the reason why that's so important is because, again, we're really here at the end of the day to provide an amazing styling experience and connection with moms. And if my store managers or stylists at each store are concerned about internet connectivity, that takes them off. It takes them off the styling floor, and it just hurts us from a mission perspective. So, so I think that was a lot of the motivation behind the LTE project, is to have this much more reliable internet connection. That's for existing stores. For new stores, we're constantly putting in, building stores in new sites, whether those be malls or outdoor retail centers. And when you build a new store, there's rarely ISP and internet connectivity on day one. So we've found that as we've had to grow so fast and add a store each month, the last thing we need to be struggling with is having internet connectivity to the store so that we can make our grand opening date. And so the LTE has actually provided us this fallback solution, if ISP isn't available out of the gate, to launch our stores on time. And I think that's a huge value for a growing company.
Yeah, and it's critical, I guess, not only for the consumer and the guest experience, the internet connectivity, but just essential functions like POS in the store that you really need to make sure are up and running on a consistent and everyday basis.
Exactly. POS, the payment gateway, the music player, the traffic counters, the supply chain applications, in-house apps we've built so that we can stay in touch with our 1,000+ employees in the field. It's completely critical that we maintain strong connectivity between all these stores and the rest of the organization.
And then what are the business benefits that Evereve is realizing from this LTE project and making sure that the connectivity is constant in its brick-and-mortar locations?
That's a great question. I think of it at multiple levels. So first and foremost, it provides a much more reliable and consistent guest experience in our stores. And then when I zoom back a little bit, I see benefits to the business where I can attest to my board, to my management team, that we can continue to grow and scale this business, that we can have twice as many stores in a couple years and have a reliable network that can drive it all. So I think it's benefit number 2 is definitely around having scalability as a business. And then 3, it's just operationally a lot more efficient. In before we put this project in place, we could probably lose an entire day trying to recover internet at a store. And in that time, it's stressful for the staff in the field. It's stressful for the folks at the home office. And, we're trying to work with ISP that, we're working on this sort of time crunch to get it back online. With the backup LTE connection, they don't even know when the internet goes down now. And the store and the experience for the customer is consistent.
So we've spoken a lot about the perspective of Evereve around kind of integrating this technology into its physical stores. What do you think about from industry wide? Why is it critical that retailers make decisions and kind of continue to integrate technology into brick and mortar?
I see the behavior of our customers today that they very often will. I mentioned we have 3 ways of shopping with Evereve. We have the in-store experience, we have our e-commerce, evereve.com, and we have our curated subscription service at trendsend.com. And we see there's just constant overlap between these different channels. She doesn't work exclusively on one channel, meaning we hear all the time from our staff that our customers walk into the store right after an email blast and they say, I'd like to find this product. I'd like to try on these new boots. So you see the connection between what's happening in our digital channel, and then sometimes that drives store traffic. In stores, we also are driving our customers to more convenient ways of shopping, like our subscription box service. And so they might work with a stylist in store to answer some profile questions that describe their physical attributes, their lifestyle preferences, their brand preferences, color preferences, and then put that into an application where we can turn that over to a stylist to curate 2 or 3 outfits every month for that customer. And so that's a new digital direct-to-consumer experience. And just to switch over to that experience for a moment, picture being a stylist. You've read the customer's profile, you start adding products to that box, and all of a sudden, you might be adding an item that she already purchased in store or on our e-commerce site. So we've had to put these controls in place to say, oh, you know what? This customer, she already bought those pair of jeans. You know what? She already bought these earrings. And so I would say the reason why this connectivity is so important is just because it's what our customers come to expect of us.
You spoke a little bit about the omni-channel behaviors of your customers. What is Evereve doing to ensure that you're bridging that gap between the different channels, the stores, online, the subscription box? What steps are you taking to create that seamless experience? And I guess that involves both kind of on the front end, consumer-facing technologies, but also managing your systems on the back end so that everything's able to communicate with each other. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's just a big integration challenge, meaning we have tools and apps to empower our stylists who are building Transcends. We have our e-commerce team who does fulfillment from store and from our e-commerce warehouse. We have the in-store customers, and we need to maintain real-time understanding of not just the customer, but we have to maintain real-time understanding of, for example, inventory. And so she might be in store, and there might be out of a particular size or color of a product she likes. And so what we can do is actually enable her to have that fulfilled through either our e-com channel or even through another store. And I think a lot of that demands very robust real-time integration. And not only that, I think about how we can connect our knowledge of her across these channels. I've mentioned some examples like her profiles, purchase histories, but another example I would bring up is on our e-commerce site today. She has had this ability to build her wish list. And, we've started to bring that wish list into the Transcend experience as well. And with our Transcends, we have this rich ability to look at, if she shares it with us, her social media profiles. And we can actually leverage that forward into the in-store experience. And I would say all of this is really about understanding our customer at the end of the day in a rich and authentic way. It's like you said in the very beginning, we're very interested in a relationship. And in a relationship, people need to be known and understood. And we value that. And we think that's a big part of how we can serve her.
And then my final question, Anthony, is let's talk a little bit about if you were to give advice to other retailers, and we've talked a lot about the LTE project that you've worked on and some of the other aspects of your role at Evereve. What advice would you have for other retailers as they begin to tackle a project such as integrating their stores with internet connectivity via LTE and some of the different other IT or integration technology projects that they might be working on or starting to work on?
Yeah, I learned a lot through this LTE project, and I'd like to share some of those things I learned. One, when I was looking at products to be rebuilding our network infrastructure, there's clearly a wide variety of products out there. One of the reasons I picked the Cradlepoint solution was because it was very easy to manage and deploy, meaning I could configure a new device for a new store and have it match the way I set up every other store in about 30 seconds. And that's, again, a lot of how Cradlepoint is set up with this cloud monitoring capability and cloud provisioning capability. And what that meant is when it came to the days when we had to install this across 60 stores across 21 states, we had a very easy time of pushing these boxes out. And not only that, I didn't have to send anyone from my team away for days and days of training or off to get some sort of certification in a technology. This is very end-user friendly technology. So when you're evaluating for these products, definitely look at what does it take realistically to put this out into the field. The second thing I think I learned was the power of having a cloud monitoring and management capability behind these devices. So you can put out independent devices, and maybe you could even remotely manage each one individually. But if the products, the LTE products like Cradlepoint, if they have a solution like the cloud management solution like Cradlepoint, you can manage all this at scale. I could change a setting across all of my stores at once. And I'll give you an example of why that was really important. Once upon a time, Evereve was actually called Hot Mama. That was our previous brand name. And so when you went into a lot of our early stores and you look at the guest Wi-Fi, it was broadcasting Hot Mama. And so when I had to switch these devices, I had to get them all. I was for the first time able to put a standard guest Wi-Fi ID in place across all these stores. Now, again, that could be a really laborious task, or it could be a few clicks if you have a cloud management solution. So when you look at the solutions, again, Cradlepoint was a great solution for us. We tested it in the field before we put it out broadly, and we were just constantly surprised at the manageability, the usability, and the really it's a platform I'm highly confident we continue to grow on. So those are a couple things I learned with this project.
Great. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Anthony Hoang of Evereve for his time telling us a little bit about the business. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes and Stitcher, but make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, please follow us on Twitter at mytotalretail or on Facebook at facebook.com/mytotalretail. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.